finger over it, or are you doing a selfie?
No.
Right, as part of your exam, you are more than likely going to be asked to complete or recognise or fill in the gaps from a circuit diagram. Okay, so we're going to go through each of them so you can do them from scratch. You very rarely ever have to do them from scratch. Okay, you might just have to fill in certain things. But if you learn how to do them from scratch and recognise them, you're going to get the marks in whatever way they ask the question. So for a 5 for 5 Astable, if you remember, the Astable is the one that when you look at the time signal graph, does that. Another way of looking at it is flashing, it's on, off, on, off, on, off, okay? Because of that, we know there is no switch. So if you now draw a circuit with a switch on it, you're an absolute muppet. So the 555 Astable, okay, I always put in my 2 voltage rails first of all, okay? I put in my 555 timer, okay, and that's where I start. You might get that, okay? It might well have the numbers on it as well. Okay? Don't necessarily need to even remember the numbers, okay? But you do know that you need to connect to power, okay? And obviously if I've got power in, I'm also going to have power out, so I'm going to come down that way. So technically, my 555 timer, or any circuit, is connected to power. So I always do power first of all. Is everyone happy with that? You'll notice that I've done my little black dots. They show a connection. If you forget that, you're going to lose marks. Connection dots are really, really important. Okay? Now, because the way we do all of our circuits, which is always going to be inputs, processes, outputs, this here is a process, isn't it? So what's going to be on my right-hand side? It's going to be the outputs, okay? So it's going to be something. In the question, it might tell you what the output is going to be. 9 times out of 10, this is going to be an LED, all right? So you just come in, draw yourself an LED, connection again, okay? Take your time doing it, make sure your circuit symbols look correct, and I'm absolutely happy with that. So I've done process and output, we've now got to think about the inputs. Astable, okay, means it's flashing. Okay, it's got 2 modes. It's got on and it's got off. That's 2 modes. That means, easy way of remembering that, 2 resistors. Okay, they connect there, followed by a capacitor. It doesn't matter which one of the Astable circuits we've got, there's always going to be a resistor, or maybe 2, followed by a capacitor. Is everyone happy with that? All right, and that's got something to do with timing. We'll talk about it in another video later on. All we've got to do now is connect these 2 up, okay? So for this one, 7 goes to there. In between the 2 resistors, 6 and 2 go there. And that is the 555 Astable circuit. A couple of things you might be asked to do is put in the resistors. Somewhere in the question you might go R1 equals blah, blah, blah. Okay, R2 equals blah, 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 and C1 equals blah, blah, blah. Okay? The only thing you need to know, and it's quite logical because everything is really simple, we work down the page. So that one will always be R1, that will be R2, and that will be C1. So when it comes to the maths, which again will be another video, it all lines up like that. That is the 555 Astable circuit.